100.3 HD3 Millville.
Mr. Big, Chuck Malamut, is next.
A show of force in the Middle East. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The U.S. will send another 1,000 troops.
We're talking about Air Force, Navy, Army, and Marines to address what the Trump administration is calling a threat in the Middle East.
Fox's David Spunt.
This news comes after Pentagon officials released several new photos that administration officials insist show Iran's involvement with the attack of 2 tankers last week.
Now, Iran denies that. Some of our European allies are urging restraint. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's concerned we are escalating the situation. ICE agents are apparently readying a big roundup. Fox's Rachel Sutherland is live in Washington.
Dave, the president is threatening mass arrests of illegal immigrants in the U.S. starting next week, tweeting they will be removed as fast as they come in. The plan has been under consideration for months. The Washington Post reports immigration and custom enforcement officials were caught off guard by the Twitter announcement, as large-scale operations are usually kept under wraps. The Trump administration says the operation will send a message to immigrants who are staying in the country illegally. Dave?
All right, till New York is sending a different message. It'll be the 13th state to allow illegal immigrants to legally get driver's licenses. Hundreds of people are lined up in Orlando, Florida for President Trump's rally tonight.
Because it's a special rally. It's his re-election announcement, and it's historic.
Some started lining up in the rain last night.
It's part of the process if you're going to be first in line.
Is this worth it?
Yes.
A man whose son was among the 26 students and adults massacred at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, has won a defamation lawsuit against authors of a book claiming the shooting never happened. That book is now no longer for sale. And there's a hearing today in the lawsuit. Victims' families filed against InfoWars host Alex Jones for defamation for also claiming the shooting was a hoax. They claim Jones sent child pornography to their legal team. Jones claims it was planted as a setup. This is Fox News.
You're a small business owner, and there's nothing small about what you do. That's why Dell Small Business Technology Advisors give you trusted advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored tech solutions, like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus thousands of top-brand electronics, accessories, and software. No matter your technology needs, Dell is here to help your small business do big things. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Lawn lovers, run with us on a John Deere Z500 Series Z-Track mower, built to mow better, faster with an Excel Deep Mower Deck. Because whether you're up against the clock or a busy day, this zero-turn gets it done in almost no time at all. Nothing runs like a Deere. Run with us. Test drive a Z500 Series Z-Track mower at your John Deere dealer during the Take Your Turn sales event.
We are stuck in a stormy, steamy weather pattern for the next 3 days. So here across South Jersey, we'll see some scattered rain this morning and then thunderstorms pop up again later on. The risk of severe weather appears fairly limited, although some heavy downpours and gusty winds will be possible. Cloudy skies, very humid, high of 82. The chance for showers and thunderstorms will continue this evening, then mainly dry after midnight with patchy fog, low of 70. More of the same tomorrow, clouds in the morning, a few showers and thunderstorms later, high of 80. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarawan, Wpgg Talk Radio 95.5.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thanks very much. The following program you're about to listen to is presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed are those of Chuck, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. Good morning, Chuck.
Harry, Kirk, good morning, gentlemen. Everybody's looking dapper today.
By the way, you guys can feel free, because you won't be here tomorrow, to wish my identical twin brother, Don Hurley, a happy birthday tomorrow.
I was going to actually call him tomorrow, but happy birthday, Don.
There you go. And I know Kirk feels the same about wishing Don a happy birthday.
But actually, you're the older twin, so
I am the original.
So you're supposed to command more respect. So happy birthday in advance. How's that?
Thank you,
I'll be
Chuck.
the first one to wish you happy birthday,
Thanks,
Harry.
Chucky, baby. Okay, time is yours.
So the market seems to be, I guess, in a good. I guess the best way to describe it is stuck at this point in time. And we're getting these movements on a day-to-day basis, but I think sort of two steps forward, one step back. Last week the S&P was up 0.5%. Consumer discretionary, communication services, utilities led the pack. Energy, industrials, technology lagged. Trade issues. I mean, that's still, while it's not front and center, it still is front and center, if that makes any sense, Harry, because it's one of these nagging issues, and it seems as if it's not going to go away, and I don't think, quite frankly, it's going to get resolved, rather quickly at this point in time. The Fed meets today. We can talk about that in a little bit. I know you and Kirk kind of chatted about it in the last hour, but is the Fed going to make a pivot here?
Is it more likely, according to your market analyst at Morgan Stanley, or more unlikely that they will lower rates over the next 2 days?
Well, I'm not going to talk on behalf of Morgan Stanley.
I didn't know if they did market research or anything.
They do, but
Okay.
I think it would be probably more important to talk about what the street is thinking about.
Okay.
As of last Friday, and think about this. I mean, literally, if we had this conversation 2 months ago, 3 months ago, there would be no conversation about a rate cut. The economy was relatively strong across all sectors, with the exception of, we've talked about manufacturing, which still is sort of a weak spot. But believe it or not, the meeting that will conclude tomorrow, there's a 23% probability that the Fed is going to go ahead and make a cut.
That's the number I was looking for. So not so good.
The July meeting, that looks to be about 87%, and the September meeting rate cut looks to be about 97%. So in all likelihood, unless the Fed is looking at data that we don't have, the chances are that they're going to pivot, and they're going to make that statement. They won't make, well, I'm thinking they're not going to cut rates, although the market is desperately looking for that. I mean, it's sort of built into the equity markets at this point in time. But I think on a go-forward basis that at the next meeting, the July meeting, there will, in fact,
So cutting interest rates, Chuck, means that there is a concern that the economy could be slowing, so they want to stimulate the economy by lowering interest rates, correct?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Fed was very, very hawkish. Remember, just as recently as last October, and then the market took the cue from Chairman Powell, and obviously went through some very, very troubling times. And then they turned rather dovish. So now they're at a point in time where the expectation is there's going to be some sort of a rate cut. It's just a matter of the timing. And I mean, I'm thinking that the market, if he has his press conference tomorrow and there is no rate cut,
and there won't be,
and he does not keep that dovish position, I think the market's going to be for a really, really tough afternoon.
And I don't think he's going to do that. I think we're going to see no rate decrease. We will stay status quo, but the language will stay consistent with what it's been. And if that's the case, the markets will be okay with that, correct?
I think the markets will be okay with it. I mean, as you know, the markets literally hinge on every word.
But 77% of the smart people don't think there's going to be a rate decrease tomorrow anyhow.
Not tomorrow.
So then that won't upset anybody unless he were to say no rate increase and we're not going to lower rates at any time in 2019. But they're not going to say that.
They're not going to say that.
No.
They can't say that.
No.
And I think that it's just a matter of the tone, the positioning that he takes, and obviously the timing. If the economy stays where it's tracking now over the next 4 weeks, and the Fed still takes that position that they're not going to cut rates, then I think the market's going to have their hands full. And this is actually, I believe, one of the shortest periods of time in history, the history of the Fed, where they did this role reversal, where they actually increased rates, and I believe we're about 150 days into it, where there is anticipation that they're going to increase rates. So obviously some things have changed, in the economy.
Chuck, before we get the first break in, I want to talk about two things that are not on your agenda. The first, and one of them is financial, one is quasi-financial. I'm not a fan, but I'm going to bring it up. I said I would, and I brought it up with Kirk, and I also brought it up in my opening monologue that I would ask you about it. And the second item has nothing to do with finance at all. And then we'll get the first break in. Then we'll come right back to your schedule.
Thanks for warning me.
But you'll like it. You'll like it. It's good. It's good. It's very good, actually. It'll be a compliment. But Bitcoin tops $9,000 as crypto rally trounces stocks, bonds, gold, and oil. And this is a Wall Street Journal report. We know that back in December, I guess over a year ago or so, maybe even the prior year, that the Bitcoin almost reached $20,000. I'm not a fan of this.
So the 20,000 was Thanksgiving 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was a direct result in this company called Coinbase, is one of the largest crypto exchanges or companies where you can buy and sell these cryptocurrencies. Everyone, that's all they talked about at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and then that's where pushed all the retail investors were. And I said, not kiddingly, I said it to my son and his friends. I said, listen, trees don't grow to the sky. And they looked at me and they said, well, of course they do. And I said, no, you guys, you don't get it. I said, they just don't go forever. So then what happened was, over the last 2 years, there was
it went down to like 4,000.
No,
didn't it?
It was even
lower?
lower than that. If you go back and you look at this chart, and I'm just going to use Bitcoin because it's the most popular of all the cryptos out there. It traded down to almost 3,200 within the last year, and then
so now back
recently
to
$9,300, and now this morning's about 91.37. I mean, look, there's a lot of volatility. I get it with blockchain and the efficiency of blockchain and how it helps banks push money through the system, particularly if you're going to do a wire. But I think you and Kirk kind of talked about it last hour. The fact of the matter is that it's not traceable. That's an issue. That underground world where money just sort of moves and nobody really knows. The fact that you and Kirk, after you do your speech today, you can go back to your house. And
you're doing the speech.
No, you guys are going to go together. You go back to your house.
He'll be in his HA shirt. And I'm in my suit.
You can write. And we've talked about IPOs and what it takes to do initial public offering. You can write an initial coin offering, an ICO, and you guys can do it right at your desk. You can push it out there, and I mean, there's nothing behind it.
Kirk will get our market research team on it.
And the fact of the matter, there's been a lot of cases where money, these cryptos have been stolen. The security measurements are not in place. Facebook is coming. Libra, I think, is within 2020. So crypto is not going to go away. I think it's going to gain in popularity. It does need to be regulated in some way, shape, or form. I know the underground crowd is not going to want to hear that.
Is this like if you're under 35, you love it? If you're over 35, you don't like it?
I think if you're under 35, you like it. If you're over 35, you don't really understand it. I don't know. I'm not going to say you don't like it. I think I've been doing this a long time, as you know, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And very, very inquisitive. And I ask, a lot of the younger generations will explain this to me, and I'm pretty confused when it's all done. And I said, well, so if you store your crypto in your wallet on your smartphone,
mm-hmm.
and nobody can get into your smartphone allegedly, but if let's say somebody gets to your smartphone or steals your smartphone, like, where's your key? How do you get in there? What's your backup? And Harry, when I can't get the answer, then here's what happens, and I get very, very one, I'm confused, and two, I'm obviously very, very cautious.
On that
about
point, there is, and I had it somewhere earlier this morning. I can't find it now, but it was a number in the many millions that it's just missing.
It is, and it happens.
So
and
how do you
even
reconcile?
It's. I mean, the fact, I don't even know. I mean, I think if you ask that under 35 crowd, they can tell you, how many cryptos are out there. I mean, there's thousands of these coins.
Yeah,
it's not just Bitcoin.
I don't like it.
I mean, there's Bitcoin Cash, and it goes on and on and on. And they say, like, okay, they all don't trade in tandem. So how do you know what currency to be in and when to be there and when to get out?
And what exactly? And I forget their names, but there were two famous actors. I think they do
the They were in
the Winklevosses.
Yeah, they were part of Facebook.
They dumped.
I mean, they made a lot of money.
Well, it depends if they made a lot of money. If they kept
they didn't. Well, if they kept it, they still did. They don't have as much as they had.
Yes.
But I mean, their basis.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they were in when this crypto or Bitcoin was trading at pennies,
and they had millions of it when it was 20,000 a coin, and then.
But they still had probably millions of it
at 9,000
a coin.
Exactly. So they're halved, but still.
I think you'd be happy with the half. You'd probably be happy, Harry, with the half of the half of the half.
Because I am happy, Harry. When I'm not busy being Harry 100.
Happy. There you go. You just
Chuck, you know what's funny about Harry 100 is that was older than any of that stuff.
I know that.
Isn't that funny?
I was thinking about that the other day, but I didn't want to burst your bubble. So
who tagged me with that? Was that Levitt?
I think
or was
so.
it you?
Even though it wasn't me, Harry, because I'm just too nice of a person. I wouldn't do that to you.
But you abused me with it. You didn't create it, but you definitely abused me with
it.
it.
I'll jump on it.
Right,
yeah, there's no problem with that.
Harry 100, he's got to get 100 on the test every time. All right, so that was one of my Kirk. It was one of my nicknames at the Golden Nugget.
It was
Harry 100.
I mean,
right.
God forbid you came in with a mistake on your budget. It was just awful for you. It was a tough day.
I was going to cry. So
you did actually.
No, I did cry. All right, so here's the other thing, and we'll just take a minute because I don't want to take away from your show, and we're due to go to the break. Margie and I love every year that two ducks for over a decade come to our home. Our home, as Kirk knows, and I think Chuck knows this, we are a certified habitat. We have the marker out. You need to get this. We're a certified habitat because we keep the pool so that the ducks can come. They love the algae, so we don't have the trampoline cover. We keep the old-fashioned cover, which also helps me open a crystal clear pool, so I'm not complaining, but it's also good for the two ducks. We have a rabbit. At least one. We have Hurdle the Turtle, Hurltle, Hurdle the Turtle. I'll probably see him starting next week. And there's a lot of other things in our whole menagerie there. So we are a certified habitat. Ladies and gentlemen, I may be Harry 100 from 30 or 40 years ago. And again today, thank you very much, talkers. But I tagged Chuck about 2 weeks ago. He is the duck whisperer. Tell the story.
I'll make it really short. So
it's a great story.
We had this one female who started with us as a chick, and she continues to come back every year. And you can, I mean, people say, how do you know? Well, you know. Yeah. I mean, because this particular duck is not domesticated, but obviously a lot friendlier than most of the wild. She had 8 babies this year. We had another female who showed up and she had 9.
Kirk, we're talking to friends. Say, come on over.
But the 9, the second set disappeared very quickly. I mean, she took them, and I mean, if they don't stay on property with you, in the first day, they're gone. They don't come back. But
somewhere in my phone, I have this wonderful picture of the mom and like 9 ducklings.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Row.
They're getting ready. I mean, you could see they're starting to flap their wings, the babies, and ready to leave. And I did not see them this morning, and they did not see them last night. So I saw them Sunday.
They could be gone?
They might be on their way. They might be heading to Kirk's house.
And then you'll get 2 more that come back, the same ones that come back
they'll probably
next
come
year.
back next year, yeah. I mean,
they always do.
Yeah, if they're not there, obviously they're gone, and if they are there, I think they'll be gone in the next 10 days.
Here's my theory. I know this. This is not theory. Ducks mate for life. They take a mate. They mate for life. I believe the children come back to where.
What's interesting
so you'll always have this.
The male has been around the last 2 out of 3 days. So that indicates to me that he's ready to take the family and go on his long extended vacation.
And the male is the really colorful one.
Yes.
The female is not.
Just the brown.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I learned a lot, actually, Harry.
So you are, hence, the duck whisperer.
I'm the assistant to the duck whisperer.
Okay.
I'm just there.
Good enough. We'll be back. Chuck Malamut continues all about your financial matters.
Wpgg Talk Radio 95.5 welcomes Three Dog Night to Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Atlantic City on July 25th and 26th. Simply download the WPG Talk Radio app and tap on Three Dog Night in the middle of the screen for your chance to win your way into the show. Three Dog Night, July 25th and 26th at Hard Rock Atlantic City. Win tickets now on the WPG Talk Radio app.
Fall in love with your home all over again. Seashore Construction.
This season, discover your home's good side. If you're looking to revamp the exterior of your home or business, Seashore Construction can handle any siding project in South Jersey. The experts at Seashore Construction can help you decide which type of siding is best for your property, increasing its value, efficiency, and give it a new look. Choose from vinyl siding, aluminum, wood, the list goes on. Plus, Seashore Construction will help you select strong, durable, and easy-to-use windows and doors that not only will add value and energy efficiency to your property, but will enhance its appearance. And, as always, they'll get your project done on time and hassle-free. Financing available. Call Seashore Construction at 800-326-5211 or check out seashoreconstruction.net.
Fall in love with your home all over again. Seashore Construction.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising. This ad is sponsored by Case Legal Media. Attention! This is an important message for anyone that has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers. The Internal Agency for Research on Cancer warned that overexposure to Roundup and other weed killers may increase the risk of developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto, the manufacturer of Roundup, may have known that Roundup and other weed killers were likely linked to organ damage and cancer. This information was hidden from the public as proprietary trade secrets since 1981, and Monsanto may have failed to warn of the potential risk of cancer. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call us now at 800-715-5016. Our network of attorneys are ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call now for a free consultation at 800-715-5016. You must protect your legal rights. Call 800-715-5016. Again, 800-715-5016.
All right, welcome to F-150 Radio. Call from Georgia. Chad, what's shaking in Macon?
I know the F-150 kicks butt and takes names.
Like how the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy F-150 thrashes the competition with best-in-class towing and torque?
Mm-hmm, not surprised. Totally saw that coming.
Chad, how do you know so much about F-150 beating the competition?
I drive the competition. Got a 10-year lease.
Kind of embarrassing, huh?
Maybe I shouldn't advertise that fact on a national talk radio show.
Good call. The Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Best-in-class claims with properly configured vehicles. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
Now get a 2019 F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months, only at your Ford dealer. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 0% APR financing for 72 months at $13.89 per month per thousand finance, regardless of down payment. Program number 21040 on 2019 Ford F-150. Not available on Raptor. Residency restrictions apply. Take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 7/1/19. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
Credit Karma can help you make financial progress by giving you free scores, reports, and monitoring. But Credit Karma does not give you the love that only a mother can. It's just an app.
I miss my mom.
But you can use Credit Karma to help you improve your credit. But it cannot solve the eternal questions surrounding the human condition.
Oh, come on, I need answers.
But signing up is free. No credit card needed. Just download the Credit Karma app now.
Oh, there's my answer.
Credit Karma. Here's to progress.
Hi, it's Markley and Van Camp. Join us later today at 1.
Now back to Hurley in the Morning on WPG, Talk Radio 95.5 FM and 1450 AM, South Jersey's talk station.
Let me take a quick moment and then right back to Chuck just to update you on something that our esteemed program director, Chris Coleman, told me about yesterday. Give me just a second here. Yep. I just heard the Markley and Van Camp intro there, and their show is officially now Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. So it's almost like a law firm that took someone plucked them and rose them up onto the masthead as a partner. Scott Robbins now is equal billing in the show. So it's no longer Markley and Van Camp. It is Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. So congratulations to Scott. Back with Chuck Malamut, all about your financial matters. A quick reminder for all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut. If I've inspired you to call him, tell him that. 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. And Chuck, once again, I know you're going to be traveling, so you've made 10 out of 12 Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Opens. 2 times you've been unavoidably out of town, but you've donated the golf balls for 12 consecutive years for all the golfers, and we've been able to do some silent auction stuff, so we want to say thanks.
You're welcome. That's a lot of golf balls.
It is.
I know we did the math at one point in time.
I have it down. It's in the many thousands, but it's 128 golfers each year times 3. We can do it real. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now. Let me see something. Let me get out my calculator.
4,608, Harry.
You got it. I was on the way. You got the calculator. So there you go. And so we thank you for that. And if you start to calculate what that would cost.
And I'm curious out of how many of those balls are still in circulation. I know that Kirk would have all of his.
I never heard him lose one. The man hits them straight.
It's amazing.
And not too often.
He should take us out. He should take us out. You know, he needs to, I think, take some really good sedatives to make sure.
Sedatives? I didn't see that coming.
To make certain that he can handle us. Because can you imagine if we went out and tried to play together?
One time we went out at the Golden Nugget days, and it was I don't even want to talk about it. Total disaster. People ask me, do you play? Not well.
So Kirk's going to put that on his bucket list.
Yeah, to take you and I out.
I think to teach
us
how to play.
We'll be a threesome. And there was one other thing about the golf I wanted to share, but anyhow, we'll go back to you.
We're going to need to be the last ones. We're going to need bowling. I can do, Kirk.
Bowling.
We need to.
I'm a man with my own ball and my own shoes.
We probably need to be the last tee time of the day, so nobody is behind us.
Without a doubt. That's why it's so ironic that the golf is a big part of our charity, because I love the fact that I broadcast, because I don't even want to have a reason for somebody to say, would you like to play? But, I know what I was going to say about golf. Nancy Conover picks up the game of golf, Chuck, and very early on hits a hole-in-one.
Amazing.
Yeah. Has she hit 2 hole-in-ones? 1.
And Kirk, how many hole-in-ones has Kirk had?
I'm going to say 0. Yeah. And Kirk can play, and he can hit far, but most people play a lifetime and never hit a hole-in-one.
13 at Twisted Dune.
Hole number 13 at Twisted Dune, Nancy Conover, hole-in-one. She's a great player. She's really good.
So let me give you some bright spots in the economy.
Yes.
We'll get back to finance here. So some areas of the economy are doing better, and in particular, the headline retail sales numbers were up 0.5% in May, and with some really positive upward revisions for the month of April. So that should increase the estimates for the second quarter growth and take some of the pressure off of the Fed. So the question is, all right, so manufacturing is not where it needs to be. Retail sales, exceeded. So the Fed has to wrestle with all this data. And, I would love to be a fly on the wall and get to one of those meetings just to listen, and the bantering that goes back and forth and how they take this data and what they do with it. It would just be so interesting to see. But so now, you do have some conflicting points. I mean, unemployment. I mean, even though the number wasn't particularly great last month at 75,000 with downward revisions for the prior 2 months, the question oftentimes is asked, are we going to end up in a recession? That's the big fear.
And what's the prevailing opinion
It's really
of that?
It's really hard to end up in a recession if it's really hard to end up in a recession. Excuse me, Harry, time out. I have to take a little break here.
My lovely wife is in the studio, and she has delivered 54 cupcakes.
None for you.
That are going to make me very popular in a couple hours.
So, and So it's really hard to end up in recession if we're at full employment, and people are spending money. So, but Harry, you never know. So that's something that we have to we have to continue to sleep with one eye open at this point in time. Which kind of raises the next point, where we are with China and the U.S. I mean, obviously we've had these disputes, and they're going, they're likely to continue. Every day we hear, the two presidents are going to attend the G20 meeting. Are they going to meet? They're going to go off to the sidelines and meet. If so, to what extent? This has started to drag on pretty significantly.
I have long predicted this was the toughest one.
So now investors are basically saying that, they're kind of holding out hope.
Do you think most people believe there's not going to be a deal?
I don't know if there's not going to be a deal. I think what investors are concerned about, are there going to be any more tariffs? Because you're always, the president is threatened, I'm going to slap it on another $300 billion. So,
but if he doesn't get a deal, he's going to slap tariffs.
So the problem is, if you're not
and the markets won't like that.
No, the markets will not like that because, look, you as the consumer, all of us are going to end up paying more. I mean, it's the rhetoric, and that is, that we're hearing from our president, and I mean, you might like it or not like it. It's just a bottom line. End of the day, China's not paying for this. You're paying for it.
Correct.
In the cost of goods and services.
Farmers are paying for it in terms of soybeans and other things not being sold.
Yeah. So the fact of the matter is that did we go too far too fast? Is he trying to really push China to the brink? Are they going to stop buying our government securities? And if so, to what extent?
31 minutes past the hour. Let that bake in for just a little bit as we come back with Chuck Malamud, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. I am respectfully yours, the cupcake whisperer.
Your home for Hurley in the Morning and me, Sean Hannity, right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
When your dream is building a new home, we offer mortgage options designed with your convenience in mind, like combining your construction and permanent loan into just one closing, saving you time for the really fun stuff, like planning that housewarming party.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
The following statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Amberin trials tested mild to moderate symptoms. Testimonial is based on 90 days of use. Results may vary. IRI US MULO, 52 weeks by UPC.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Retton, and I want to talk to you about something I haven't liked to talk about until now, my menopause. All my life, I've had energy to win gold in '84. But when menopause hit me, with the hot flashes and night sweats, I began to feel sluggish every day. That all changed when I discovered Amberin.
Amberin safely relieves 12 menopause symptoms by helping to restore your hormonal balance. Amberin is 100% drug-free, estrogen-free, and clinically tested. Amberin is America's #1 menopause relief supplement.
Thanks to Amberin, my fear of hot flashes is gone. My sheets aren't soaked every night, and my energy is back. Give Amberin a try and see what it can do for you. It works. It really works.
Hurry to your Walmart, Walgreens, Target, and other fine retailers nationwide and get Amberin today.
Sean Hannity this afternoon at 3. Now, Hurley in the morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, welcome back. It's 35 minutes past the hour. A listener question for Chuck Malamut. We'll say good morning to Michelle, who is a great listener of the program, who writes in, I am no financial guru, but I have read that the tariffs are only pennies on the dollar. Can you ask Chuck if that's true, please?
They might be pennies on the dollar initially, but when you start 25, 30, 35, 50%, I mean, you're not talking pennies at that point in time.
Well, and why I would push back on that, it's not pennies on the dollar, because when you get to the actual finish line of all this stuff, why is the president putting aside billions in
to help the farmers? But here's what's really interesting. You know, you talk about the supply chain and how it's been impacted. So now what is happening because of all the trade uncertainty, while we can't actually quantify the dollars, what is happening, the business sentiment is starting to get, rather sour at this point in time. Management teams, big companies, small companies, they're spending an inordinate amount of time and energy moving the supply chain away from China rather than growing their businesses. So you think about the diversion, of time and energy and effort, because you now have to – you can't just pick your supply chain up and move it in a day.
Right.
So
I'm not going to say the president's aggressive approach regarding trade is a mistake, but I will say this much, and it worried me from the beginning, and Chuck, you and I have talked about this from the beginning on your program. To get in the way of your own economy is a shame. But it does show a courageous, though, approach by the president, who has spoken for decades, long before he was ever a candidate for president, let alone the president, where he didn't like these trade deals, where they were eating our lunch. So each one that he has done, USMC and some of the other ones that he has done, Mexico and some of these other ones, I guess that's part of USMC, but the ones that he's been able to accomplish thus far have been very favorable. The elusive one is China. But the trade stuff has become a drag, hasn't it?
It has. We don't know. I mean, initially everyone was under the impression, and we think about before that May 5th tweets, the two tweets that the president sent out on that Sunday, and it seems like it was just so long ago it happened, but Mnuchin said, look, we're 90% of where we need to be. And the market was really giddy and excited about that. And then as a result, if you see what we're doing, we're just having, it's like the big churn. I mean, it's, we 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, the good news is, as you remember, we just had an awful May.
Yep.
And for investors that stayed the course during the month of June, so far, they have recovered about 80% of the losses that were incurred during the month of May.
Chuck, here are 5 of the most beautiful words you've ever written to me in 40 years. Growth continues to outperform value. I love that.
So, there, as you know, the S&P 500 and the mid caps and the small caps are made up of growth stocks and value stocks. A stock like a Google, Alphabet, it has no dividend to speak of, a very, very small dividend. That's where their earnings are plowed back into the company and hope to grow your share price. That's considered a growth stock. A value stock, on the flip side, a utility, a stock that pays a dividend, a bank, for instance, an oil company. And there's always this continual battle between should I be in growth and I should be in value. Now, the S&P 500, all into itself, if you buy the index, that's considered a blend. It's a combination of growth and value. But, growth has outperformed value for an extended period of time. I'm going to say out of the last 10 years, growth has beaten value 7 out of the 10 times. We're starting to believe that trend could very well continue. Slowing corporate profits, do in fact help growth stocks more than they help value stocks. If trade remains somewhat of a wild card, profits are going to come under pressure. And even if the trade issues do ease, any profit improvement is likely to be choppy. And so as a result of that, it's real hard. It's a lot harder for a value stock, that style to come back in favor and create a solid footing versus a growth stock.
Love that question. Love the answer even more. Chuck Malamut continues all about your financial matters. Here's a great one because as our listener's official pocket Kreskin, named by Kirk, sanctioned by Kreskin, who said to use it well, and he was so interested in Kirk and how did he come up with this, and it was really an exciting time for the program. I'm going to ask Chuck to be my pocket Kreskin squared. Where are stocks heading?
So that's a great question, Harry. And we were oftentimes asked that. We're asked that at least once a day from our clients. But so there's five. I think determining factors that are going to, move the equity market. We talked about the Fed. Are they going to ease? How much are they going to ease? And the length of time. So if the Fed just puts one or two rate cuts in, it's probably going to be good news for stocks. But if you have a protracted easing cycle, would signal that something is seriously wrong with the economy. So you don't want to have, 3, 4, 5 rate cuts. That's not necessarily, good news for the economy. We've often talked about the yield curve and what the Fed's impact is with the yield curve. So if the yield curve begins to steepen, that is showing that the economy is resilient. If not, it's going to be a negative for stocks. Trade we talked about. Are trade issues going to ease or become more problematic after the G20 meeting? We talked. You talked in the last hour about the tanker ships and what's happening geopolitically. If that were to continue, if the relations got worse rather than better, that would have an impact on the market. And saving the best for the last point, second quarter earnings. I mean, they're coming within the next within the next 3 weeks or so. That's going to be the telltale sign. I mean, they've been ratcheted down by a lot of strategists and economists. So if results are worse than expected and forward guidance is negative, it's going to be really tough for stocks to kind of push through and move significantly higher. If we see more optimism from corporate management teams, then all likelihood all bets are off, and the market will, continue onward upward. I said, Harry, think about this: we're still up year to date. In spite of all the negativity that's out there right now, the S&P up 16, the Dow up 13, and Nasdaq up 18. Year to date.
What a year.
So, like I said to you maybe a month ago, I'd be very happy if we could kind of end the year right now.
Choppy sort of path that it's taken, but quite a good year. Chuck, your ears may have been burning yesterday because I mentioned you during Joe McDermott's program.
I did hear this.
I'm happy you heard it. I cited the Malamut Doctrine with respect to Social Security, your own independent individual philosophy about it. But what a deal. The first Social Security recipient. What does this mean?
I saw this, and it just, it mirrors everything we talked about and have continued to talk about with respect to Social Security and, how broken is it. A woman by the name of May Fuller in Vermont in 1940, she was the first recipient of a monthly Social Security retirement benefit. 3 years before she retired, she paid in $25 in total in payroll taxes. Not per year, but $25 in taxes, in payroll taxes. She lived another 35 years. She died at age 100 in 1975. Social Security paid her $22,900 in retirement benefits. Just think about this. I mean, you want to go to the casino, Harry. Every dollar she paid into the program, she received $925. So, granted, I mean, nothing better than being first.
Not at all.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine? You put in $1, you get $9.25 back. That's pretty good.
Hey, look, that's why it's going to be broken by the time the baby boomers strain it the way that we're going to, because people are living longer, and it was never intended to have that kind of stress. It's going to be very interesting to see what ultimately, and then politicians that will have to do something about it will be very afraid of what it will mean politically. It's going to be a very, very tough situation. Chuck, we're going to take a brief time out. We'll come back, one more power segment straight ahead. Chuck Malamut continues all about your financial matters. Reminder to reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs, 609-383-2010. I'm also very pleased to tell you about Captain Ron Meischker and the Summers Point Crab Company. This is a wonderful local boutique operation. We've all heard about the phrase farm to table, and you ensure the freshest possible product when it is done that way. My good friend, Captain Ron Meischker, owner, operator of the Summers Point Crab Company, licensed to do this and to bring blue crabs right from the bay directly to your table. It is awesome. Ron is foregoing selling to distributors and seafood markets and is instead selling blue crabs caught on his boat, busheled out, directly to the public, so that when you order crabs from Ron, you are dealing directly with the fishermen who caught the crabs, so you know that they are fresh, coming out of the bay just hours before delivery and on your table. Also, Ron will clean the crabs for you, or you can buy them by the dozen. You can buy them by the bushel. Check out his social media presence on Facebook, and you can start the process even right there if you want to place an order, and then Ron will get a hold of you. But don't leave a message that just says, hey, I want a bushel, and put a time in it and expect. You need to have the conversation with Ron. But I have seen tremendous interaction on the Facebook page directly with Ron. You can start it there, or this personal number, 609-517-2531, directly to Captain Ron, 609-517-2531. Also, Ron will bring his steamer right to your home, to your office, wherever you would like to have a party for friends, family, or coworkers. He can do that for you as well. And Ron uses his own special blend of crab seasoning that really brings out the flavor of the crabs. 609-517-2531. Captain Ron and his product. Delicious.
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 FM and 1450 AM.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy and the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, Linwood, and Philadelphia.
Solea is the revolutionary new no-drill, no-numbing dental laser. Here to explain Solea is Dr. Jay Rosenberg of Goodman & Rosenberg Dentistry in Pleasantville. So what is this new laser?
Well, it's a carbon dioxide laser used to do fillings, gum sculpting for aesthetics, and other procedures. It's basically just a beam of light that requires no drilling and no numbing, which speeds up dental procedures for patients because they don't need to wait for the numbing medicine to kick in. That also means that you can go back to work without having your face numb. We're one of only a handful of dental offices that offer Solea. It's virtually pain-free, it's covered by insurance, and our patients love it.
All right, Dr. Jay Rosenberg, and I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy with 4 locations. Put yourself in their hands. And by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff. Attention you expect, results you deserve.
Does someone you love have Parkinson's, a balance disorder, or MS, or have a condition that makes it hard to be independent? I'm MJ Persky for BackRack to tell you that we're holding the 5th annual Ability Fair, July 24th at Stockton. The Ability Fair will feature more than 60 vendors with products and services for people with physical challenges. This year, we'll feature talks by BackRack doctors, experts on therapy and rehabilitation. We'll have therapy dogs, robots, accessible vehicles, home modification, and elder law. Learn more and sign up for free at abilityfair.org.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising. This ad is sponsored by Case Legal Media. Attention! This is an important message for anyone that has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers. The Internal Agency for Research on Cancer warned that overexposure to Roundup and other weed killers may increase the risk of developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto, the manufacturer of Roundup, may have known that Roundup and other weed weed killers were likely linked to organ damage and cancer. This information was hidden from the public as proprietary trade secret since 1981, and Monsanto may have failed to warn of the potential risk of cancer. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
Call us now at 800-715-5016. Our network of attorneys are ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call now for a free consultation at 800-715-5016. You must protect your legal rights. Call 800-715-5016. Again, 800-715-5016.
At Walgreens, we know that your day doesn't stop for diabetes. So when you've got places to go and people to see, count on Walgreens every day to get expert diabetes advice 24/7. Find all major brands of testing supplies like Walgreens True Metrics in-store and online. And download tools to help you stay on track, like our 5-star mobile app with Pill Reminder. At Walgreens, we are your diabetes go-to. Stop by and talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, trusted since 1901.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. Right now, get your first month supply for free. All you pay is just $5 for your medical consultation when you go to 4hims.com/able. After that, it's just $30 for a month's supply. Sure beats paying big bucks for just one blue pill, doesn't it? Plus, you won't need an awkward in-person doctor's appointment to get the prescription. Hims has doctors online who can prescribe the medication, and a pharmacy sends it right to your door. It's affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/able. That's 4hims.com/able for your first month for just $5. 4hims.com/able.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Join me tonight at midnight. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We continue with Chuck Malamut, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. Kirk, have a great day. You look great in that HH shirt with the microphone. Handsome. What a name. What a name. Who was it that said it? The guy from First Light. Harry Hurley. That's a great name. Exactly. That's the whole point. My father gave it to me. But, Chuck, this looks like a mirage to me. I don't even remember the last time that this even happened. You have written to me a bank failure. What happened?
So, Harry, that
saddens me.
The ENLO, ENLOA, State Bank of Cooper, Texas, failed recently, required a bailout from the FDIC. This was the end of May. It was the first bank failure in our country in 17 and a half months.
Wow.
It's the longest stretch between bank failures since 2007 or more than a dozen years ago. That's pretty amazing.
Just a unique anomaly in good times?
I'm hoping so. I mean, but you think about, where there's smoke, there's fire. There could be more. But, I mean, I know we talked about it
So without saying that it could be the precursor to something?
Yeah, I mean, what you don't know, I have no information on this bank, assets, liabilities, what their balance sheet looked like, what their income statement looked like. But obviously,
I'd like it to be just a standalone, unique situation that has no bearing on any trend or anything, because I well remember 2008-ish and beyond, where then the banks were tightening credit and people that maybe had $10,000 credit card, it got whacked down to $5,000. I don't want anything to slow down this tremendous run that we're on.
As long as we get to that big R word, we stay away from that. I think, Harry, we're going to be in relatively good shape here.
Market capitalization, stocks versus bonds.
So, Harry, look, we hear about the stock market wherever you go, TV, internet, smartphones. I mean, you can't get away from the stock market. Total stock market capitalization most recently was measured at $31.1 trillion. And you would say, okay, that's fine. But do you ever hear much about the bond market? I mean, you might hear about interest rates, the 30-year Treasury, the 10-year mortgage rates, short-term money, your overnight money. The U.S. bond market, which includes treasuries, municipals, corporates, mortgage backs, asset backs, $43 trillion. $43 trillion.
The Rodney Dangerfield of
right. Gets no respect. So treasury debt was $15.9 trillion.
I'll tell you, Chuck.
Of the total, which is the largest piece of the U.S. bond market. But it's amazing that if you look at you compare these capitalizations, equity or stock market versus the bond market, 72% representation. You compare the stocks versus bonds. I mean, I think if you asked your listeners, the majority of them would say, well, geez, yeah, I mean, certainly stock market capitalization is significantly higher than the bond market, and lo and behold, that's not the case at all.
Chuck, what's the story, United States manufacturing?
So, Harry, we have, we have talked about this for quite some time. What is happening here is that we go back and we measure where we were as far as the number of people actually working in U.S. manufacturing. So right now, as of December of last year, there were 12.8 million workers that in our country that work in U.S. manufacturing industries. Believe it or not, Harry, that is identical. 12.9 million manufacturing jobs 77 years ago. So,
wow.
So you think about it, we've had virtually no growth in that sector, but we've had technology improvements. The good news behind all this, 265,000 jobs to get us to that 12.8 million in 2018 were created during 2018, and that happens to be the largest annual increase since we started measuring this over 2 decades ago.
I was going to share, when you use the analogy you did, it's an accurate statement, but manufacturing over the past 2 years has come back.
It has, but now we're sort of at a stalemate here because, as I mentioned to you before in previous shows, ISM manufacturing data is significant, is trending down. And as a result of that, that's the concern that all of us have with respect to the economy. Where are we? Or where is GDP going to be for Q2 and moving forward? So having said all that, I think that, again, all eyes are on the Fed making a determination as to, where do we go from here?
Chuck, 10 years after the bottom.
So you remember that awful, and you kind of talked about it, just talked around it a few minutes ago. The 1.5 year recession that we had, December 2007 and ended in June 2009, wiped out $7 trillion.
Very deep.
Real estate stock portfolios. At the low point, the collective net worth of all of us in this country was about $50 trillion. That was in March of 2009. 10 years later, the balance sheets have improved significantly for most Americans. We've gained 115% from that bottom. We are now at a record level of $108 trillion. So think about the work that was put in, the hard work by everyone to get us to the point where we are now. And I think hopefully most of your listeners are feeling a lot better today than they were, say, 10 years ago.
Anything further about the last recession and employment rate? I mean, obviously the employment rate, we have the highest employment or the lowest unemployment rate, if you want to do it in the negative or the affirmative, since what, Chuck, 1969?
Yeah, so Harry, if you go back to the last recession that we had, the unemployment rate, December 2007, before the recession, was 5%. It ended up increasing to 9.5% as of June of 2009. And where are we now? Where is unemployment? They think about it, we went from 5 to 9.5, and where we are in the 3-ish, 4-ish range right now as far as unemployment. I mean, the number moves. I mean, Kirk, I know, talks about it's really not the right number. We should look at another number. But if you are looking for a job still today you can become gainfully employed. It might not be the job of your choice.
We have 7 million jobs and only 4 million people looking for jobs.
Might not be the job of your choice.
Right.
But as I oftentimes say, Harry, especially to those graduating college, your first job is not your last job. Very
impressive. Closing comment, you have about 30 seconds.
Harry, I'm disappointed that our schedules are going to be a little bit different. I know you're going to have a very, very successful golf open.
32 foursomes.
Raised a lot of money. Hats off to you, your family, everybody helping.
Thanks for
I'm
your
glad
support.
to be part of it.
You are?
And
big part.
I'll be back here next Tuesday.
I may have to actually send you the virtual silent auction in case you want to participate.
You should do that.
I will do that.
I'm around. Send
in
it
fact,
up.
well, you have it. I
have the items.
I sent you the sneak peek.
I will look.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Harry.
Thanks for all your support. We'll be back. Dr. Mark Newkirk is standing by next. It's early in the morning.
95.5 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville.
Is the U.S. opening Pandora's box in the Middle East? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. China thinks so. It's the world's largest buyer of oil from Iran, and it's warning against escalating tension as the U.S. plans to send 1,000 more troops to the region, blaming Iran for last week's attack on 2 oil tankers. And Fox's Rachel Sutherland has more reaction live from Washington.
Dave, Republican Senator Tom Cotton calls the deployment of troops in the Middle East a prudent measure, telling Fox's Martha